The Culpeo, often called the Andean fox or Andean wolf, is not a true fox, even though it closely resembles one in appearance. It belongs to the genus Lycalopex, which is more closely related to South American canids like the pampas fox than to the true foxes of the genus Vulpes. The name fox became attached to it largely because of its superficial resemblance to foxes, such as its sharp muzzle and bushy tail. However, genetically and taxonomically, it stands apart as part of the South American wild dog group rather than being a genuine fox. The Culpeo is native to South America and has been present on the continent for thousands of years, adapting to its diverse landscapes. It is thought to have evolved from ancient canids that migrated into South America during the Great American Biotic Interchange, when species from North and South America began crossing continents through the Isthmus of Panama. This event shaped much of the continent's unique carnivore diversity, with the Culpeo emerging as one of the most successful mid-sized predators of the Andean region. The Culpeo is highly adaptable and ranges widely across South America. It inhabits the Andes Mountains from Colombia and Ecuador in the north, through Peru, Bolivia, and Chile, and as far south as Tierra del Fuego in Argentina. It thrives in varied environments including high-altitude grasslands, scrublands, deserts, and even forest edges. Its adaptability allows it to survive in both harsh alpine zones above 4,000 meters and more temperate lowland areas. Despite its resilience, it tends to favor open or semi-open landscapes where it can move freely and hunt effectively. The Culpeo is not considered endangered, but its conservation status varies across its wide range. The International Union for Conservation of Nature currently classifies the species as least concern, meaning it is relatively widespread and stable compared to many other South American carnivores. Its adaptability to different environments, from harsh Andean plateaus to coastal regions, has helped it survive despite human pressures. However, this does not mean that all populations are equally secure. In some localized areas, numbers have declined due to persecution, habitat changes, and competition with humans. The Culpeo is not considered endangered, but its conservation status varies across its wide range. The International Union for Conservation of Nature currently classifies the species as least concern, meaning it is relatively widespread and stable compared to many other South American carnivores. Its adaptability to different environments, from harsh Andean plateaus to coastal regions, has helped it survive despite human pressures. However, this does not mean that all populations are equally secure. In some localized areas, numbers have declined due to persecution, habitat changes, and competition with humans. The Culpeo does face conservation challenges. In regions where human-wildlife conflict is intense, populations can become locally rare, and isolated groups may struggle to maintain healthy genetic diversity. Conservationists emphasize the importance of protecting natural habitats and promoting coexistence with farmers to ensure that the species remain stable in the long term. While not endangered at present, careful management is essential to prevent localized declines from worsening. In the wild, Culpeos generally have a lifespan of around 6 to 7 years, though some individuals may live slightly longer under ideal conditions. Their life expectancy is influenced by several factors, including predation, human-related threats, like hunting or habitat disturbance, disease, and food availability. Juveniles face the highest risks, with mortality often occurring during their first year as they learn to hunt and avoid predators. Adult Culpeos that survive these early challenges tend to be quite resilient, thanks to their adaptability and intelligence. In captivity, where threats from predators, food scarcity, and harsh environmental conditions are largely eliminated, Culpeos can live significantly longer, often reaching 10 to 12 years. Captive individuals benefit from regular nutrition, veterinary care, and protection from environmental stresses, which allows them to reach an age rarely seen in the wild. Studying captive Culpeos has provided valuable insights into their reproductive biology, behavior, and social structure, information that helps inform conservation and management efforts in their natural habitats. Their relatively moderate lifespan in the wild, combined with a seasonal breeding pattern and relatively small litter size, means that population recovery in areas of high human impact can be slow, emphasizing the importance of habitat protection and coexistence strategies. The Culpeo has a striking appearance that strongly resembles that of a fox, which is why it is often nicknamed the Andean fox. Its fur is generally a grizzled mixture of reddish, tawny, and grey shades, with more reddish tones along the sides and head, and greyish hues across the back. The underparts are lighter, often pale or whitish, and the legs tend to have more pronounced reddish colouring. One of its most distinguishing features is its bushy tail, usually tipped with black, which adds to its fox-like look. The Culpeo is a medium-sized wild canid with a slender but muscular frame. It has a narrow, pointed muzzle, upright ears, and agile proportions that allow it to adapt easily to different terrains. Its overall body shape is designed for versatility, giving it both the speed needed in open grasslands and the agility to navigate rocky Andean slopes. While it resembles the red fox in silhouette, it is stockier and more wolf-like in certain aspects, especially in the head and body proportions. The Culpeo is the second largest native canid in South America, after the maned wolf. Adult Culpeos typically measure between 95 to 132 centimeters from head to tail, with the tail itself making up a substantial portion of the length. In terms of height at the shoulder, they usually stand around 45 to 55 centimeters. Their weight varies depending on the region and availability of food, but most adults fall within the 5 to 13 kilogram range, with males often being larger and heavier than females. The Culpeo is not a very vocal animal compared to some other wild canids, but it does have a range of sounds it uses to communicate. One of its most common vocalizations is a sharp, high-pitched bark, which it uses as an alarm call or to signal the presence of intruders in its territory. This bark is short and abrupt, carrying well across open landscapes like the high Andean plateaus. It serves as an important tool to warn others or to deter threats without the need for direct confrontation. Culpeos also produce a series of yelps or whines, especially during interactions between individuals. These softer sounds are often used in close-range communication, such as between a mother and her young, or between mates. They can also use these vocalizations to reduce aggression during encounters, signaling submission or reassurance. Another sound occasionally recorded from Culpeos is a guttural growl or snarl, usually expressed in defensive or confrontational situations. This type of vocalization is more common when the animal feels cornered, threatened by larger predators, or when humans or domestic dogs approach too closely. While these sounds are not as frequent as the vocal repertoire of wolves or domestic dogs, they highlight the Culpeo's ability to use sound as a means of both protection and social interaction. The Culpeo plays a very important role in Andean and South American folklore. In many indigenous cultures, it is portrayed as a cunning and clever trickster figure, much like foxes in other mythologies. For example, in Mapuche mythology of Chile and Argentina, the Culpeo is often a symbol of intelligence and survival, sometimes admired and sometimes feared for its slyness. These cultural associations show how deeply the animal has been woven into human storytelling across its range. Despite being widely distributed, the Culpeo shows noticeable variation depending on the region where it lives. Several subspecies have been described, with slight differences in fur texture, skull shape, and behavior, adapted to the environments from the high Andes to the Patagonian steppe. This adaptability has made the Culpeo one of the most successful canids in South America, able to thrive in both arid deserts and cold alpine ecosystems. Another fascinating fact is that the Culpeo has been observed adjusting its activity patterns depending on the level of human presence. In remote areas, it may be more active during the day, but in regions with heavy human activity, it tends to become more nocturnal, avoiding direct encounters. This behavioral flexibility is one of the keys to its survival in landscapes increasingly shaped by people. The Culpeo is a skilled and versatile hunter, using a mix of stealth, patience, and agility to capture its prey. It often relies on ambush tactics, quietly stalking its target before making a sudden, swift dash to seize it. In open landscapes, such as grasslands or scrub, it uses its sharp eyesight and acute hearing to detect movement from a distance, then crouches low to the ground to avoid being seen until it is close enough to strike. In rocky or mountainous areas, the Culpeo uses the terrain to its advantage, hiding behind natural cover and surprising prey when they least expect it. Its hunting style is adaptable, allowing it to succeed in very different environments, from the high Andes to coastal deserts. The Culpeo is an opportunistic carnivore with a wide-ranging menu. It primarily feeds on small to medium-sized animals such as rodents, rabbits, and birds, which form the bulk of its natural prey. However, it also consumes reptiles, insects, and carrion when the opportunity arises, making it highly flexible depending on seasonal availability of food. In agricultural regions, Culpeos may take domestic poultry or scavenge around human settlements, which has historically led to conflict with farmers. Interestingly, their diet can also include plant matter such as fruits and berries, especially during times when animal prey is scarce. This omnivorous tendency further boosts their ability to survive in varied and sometimes harsh environments. The Culpeo's breeding pattern is seasonal and generally aligned with the southern hemisphere's spring. Mating usually occurs between August and October, when environmental conditions begin improving after winter and food becomes more abundant. During this time, males and females pair up, and both contribute to raising the young. The species is typically monogamous for a breeding season, with pairs forming strong bonds to ensure the survival of their offspring. After mating, the female undergoes a gestation period of about 55 to 60 days. She gives birth to a litter that can range from 2 to 5 pups, though litter size may vary depending on environmental conditions and food availability. The pups are born blind and helpless, relying entirely on their mother for warmth and nourishment during the first weeks of life. The male often plays an important role by providing food for the female while she stays with the newborns. As the pups grow, they gradually begin to explore outside the den at around a month old and are weaned by about 2 months of age. Both parents help teach them basic survival skills, such as exploring their environment and recognizing prey. By the time they are 6 to 7 months old, young Culpeos are usually independent and may begin dispersing to establish their own territories. The timing ensures that by the next harsh winter, the pups are strong enough to survive on their own. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for even more viewing pleasure. Don't forget, like and comment. Feel free to share.